Hello, my babies! Welcome to another episode of The Unqualified Mrs. Cupid. This is your host, Mrs. Cupid. Absolutely thrilled to have you here today with me. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that I am pretty sure no one wants to see happen in their relationship. Love is supposed to be sweet and warm, and it is supposed to give you a safe place to lay down at the end of the day. But sometimes that's not always what happens. Sometimes relationships reach a point when love turns bitter. And that's the topic for today. I, 29 female, feel desperate for affection from him. 32 male, but nothing seems to be working. Hey Reddit, this seems like it should be a small issue, but I have become desperately unhappy because of it. I really need some help. So, we have been dating for around 2 years and living together around half of that time. For the first 7 months or so, he was so affectionate that I was honestly concerned it would be too much for me going forward. Then we moved in together and hit a rough patch in our relationship, which we are past now, but the affection has all but disappeared on his end. We used to kiss passionately, make out, hug often, have sex all the time, cuddle, and get tangled up in each other, etc. For the past 7 months or so, I have started to feel increasingly desperate and resentful because these things don't happen anymore. At the same time, I feel like maybe I'm just being really clingy and should be happy with what I get. Here is a typical day in our lives. We wake up together and he is usually reading on his phone. When I try to cuddle, he will sometimes put his phone down and hug me for a few seconds. But usually, he just reaches over and pats my head or gives my hand a quick squeeze before resuming what he was doing. We get ready for the day and we'll hug each other and peck each other on the lips before we leave. We don't interact much while at work. When we get home, we again give each other a hug and a peck on the lips. At some point, we will either play video games or watch a show. When we watch a show, he usually holds my hand. I depend on this a lot because it's one of the only times I feel like I am receiving affection. If he doesn't hold my hand or he says he is too hot to cuddle, I feel unreasonably dejected. We go to bed together and usually read or do our own things. He will say goodnight and peck me on the lips and usually says he is too tired, just doesn't want to fall asleep holding me, which he knows I love. I have expressed to him that I want more affection, and at first, he said our level of affection was perfectly normal and fine. When I pressed the issue, he said we could set aside 10 minutes or so before bed to cuddle together. I was thrilled. However, for the few nights it has happened, he literally just drapes one arm over me while laying with his eyes closed. I rub his arm, touch his face, kiss him, etc., in an effort to get him to reciprocate, but he just continues laying there. I am so sad. When we are together, I am desperately hoping for some scraps of affection. He does give me hugs and kisses randomly sometimes, but we never make out or cuddle hard together. We still do have sex a couple of times a week, but I wish it was more because that was the only time I feel truly wanted. How can I communicate this to him? Are we just incompatible? Please help. Now, this one I feel is kind of a juicy because there can be so many options as of what is happening with this guy, right? Option number one, it is that this guy doesn't know how to do relationships after the honeymoon stage it's over. I know it is usually said that the honeymoon stage lasts between 6 to 9 months if you really stretch it, but there can be relationships where the honeymoon stage lasts until the relationship finally faces its first big problem. And as OP said, they have been together for 2 years and they were perfectly fine until they hit this rough patch. And after that, things have never been the same with him. So usually when people describe when they are in love, they always describe these intense feelings. But that's just the honeymoon stage. So when love finally settles in and you discover that love is not like exciting and thrilling all the time and it's actually more like a comfort place. Like it is very calm and you don't feel butterflies or explosions inside you every time you are with your partner or you do not have this need to always touch them and be around them. When you lose that, when you lose those feelings, sometimes people think that love died because they are not excited anymore. So when these feelings die down, a lot of people think that that's the end of love. That's where love finishes for the relationship, and the relationship needs to end as well. So when those feelings die down, and you are faced with a fight, and you are starting to realize that your partner, it's not perfect and amazing 100% of the time, and you start to discover all of these things, and you are like, no, 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 but love is supposed to be thrilling and perfect and amazing, and I'm not feeling those things anymore. Some people want out of the relationship. And if you're faced with someone who is like that, this is very sad, but there's absolutely nothing you can do to help the situation, because that person is not ready for a committed relationship. Like, that person wants the thrill and the strong emotions, and a long lasting relationship cannot give you that. A long lasting relationship, it's supposed to be calm and relaxed, and you can have fun together. But what I mean with calm and relaxing, it means that love should feel like a home. It should feel like a place you can rest on. Like, it's not a roller coaster all the time, and and some people don't like that. And option two of what might be happening is that these two are not really over the rough patch that they hit. Like, they may be still thinking about it, or maybe they are holding back, like, resentful feelings for each other or about what happened, or they feel like the situation wasn't really resolved. Like, it happens so much among couples that when they are faced with a fight or a big issue, sometimes they go like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgive you, or whatever, because they just want to get over it, but they really don't talk or don't say what they truly feel, because they might think that if they do, they will just cause more conflict among the relationship, and they don't want that. They want peace. They want to go back to a peaceful time in their relationship. They don't want to go over what happened. But sometimes you need to. Sometimes you do need to talk about absolutely everything that you are feeling, and why you're feeling it, and what bothers you, because if you don't, then you harvest those feelings inside you, and that can start poisoning you from inside out. And a huge example of why I think this might be happening is because she said that things have not been the same since that rough patch. He has not been as affectionate as he was before. Things have not been the same. I don't feel as loved as before. Like, she is blaming the state of the relationship still on that rough patch. She's saying that after that rough patch, things are not the same. So she's clearly still holding on to that rough patch, and she's still blaming that rough patch. So before she breaks up with him, I think that it would be great for her to sit down and revisit the rough patch and be like, is there something that is still bothering you or troubling you about that thing bad that happened between us? Because I feel like after that, we're not the same. And it's pretty normal as well when you are faced with a big fight in your relationship to sometimes hold back insecurities. Misunderstandings or fights in a relationship can easily bring back all the insecurities or wake up new ones, because you start realizing that maybe you are not 100% compatible with your partner. You start realizing that you are different in some things, and you start realizing that there are these things in the relationship that you need to work on, and you are afraid that if you don't succeed, the relationship will end, and you don't want to because you love that person. And so what happens is that sometimes the problem is not the relationship, but the problem is inside you, with these new insecurities that you have found or have woken up again. And so you start focusing only on the bad, instead of realizing that maybe the relationship is changing, and that it's good that it's changing. That's what's supposed to happen with relationships. You start living in the past, and you are always thinking that he used to do that, and he used to be like this, and he used to do that as well. And yeah, that was him in the honeymoon stage, but now this is him in a more mature and evolved relationship. But that doesn't mean that the relationship is bad, but you're feeling so insecure and hurt inside that you can only focus on the bad. As always, the solution is to sit down and talk. And again, she should ask him how he's feeling in the relationship, if there are still things that bother him about the issue, or if there's something new that bothers him. And then maybe she can also talk about how she's feeling inside, how she feels like she is a bother, and she's clingy, and she's all of those things that I insist that he might not see her like that. but she's feeling insecure. So she's being like, no, 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 I'm sure that he thinks I'm annoying and he doesn't want me there. And it happens to the best of us. It's very normal for you to feel like that inside a relationship. We are human beings and we can spend some time in our lives feeling insecure about our positions in life. There's nothing wrong about feeling insecure inside your relationship. What's bad is for you to assume that there's no way to fix it and that you just need to run away. Having a talk about these issues and just checking up with your partner and how they're feeling and how you're feeling can actually save your relationship and improve it. But you need to keep your mind open that relationships and dynamics inside the relationships change. And that's also okay. And if you realize that that dynamic is not for you, then yes, you should leave. My boyfriend, 26 male, criticized me, 29 female, constantly. I, 29 female, have been with this guy, 26 male, for almost 2 years now. I love him, he's loyal, honest, clever, and fun. He loves me too, and we enjoy our time together a lot. But I feel that he is always criticizing me. I would make an effort to look good, put makeup on, etc. And he would say, did you put on moisturizer? Your skin looks dry. Or randomly say, when was the last time you exercised/shower? If I arrive at his place, he would say, did you go to work like this? Do you plan on plucking your eyebrows before meeting my parents? Your place is almost tidy, but there is something here on the floor. When do you plan on buying some perfume? Really, this goes on all the time on any topic. He would find something bad to say about it. And I assure you, I am not some sort of ugly troll that never showers. I shower, I look good, I exercise, and I am a size small. I am not super tidy, but frankly, I don't feel ashamed at all about my flat. So yesterday, I sat him down and said, look, this is not okay, it makes me feel bad. 9 times out of 10, when you open your mouth to talk about me, it's to say something unpleasant. To which he proceeded in explaining that we should be able to be honest with each other and that he doesn't want to be on his tippy toes when talking to me. As if being able to constantly criticize me was a hill he was willing to die on. At this point, I started to mimic his behavior just for him to understand how it feels. But it makes him feel sad and stressed. He feels that I am pissed at him, which I am, by the way, and that's not something I enjoy at all. But frankly, I don't know what else to do for him to understand that his behavior is not okay. Any thoughts? I want to start this one just saying something from the top of my head, and I know I might be wrong, but I just need to get it off of my chest. But I feel he's acting like that because she is older than him. So maybe she has her life more well put together than him, or maybe she has gone through more experiences than him. And some people, when they're dating someone who is older than them, they can feel inferior. Like maybe the older person knows more about life. So maybe if they start pointing out the things that they are doing wrong or their flaws or stuff like that, maybe they can bring some balance in the relationship, and that just comes out of insecurities, right? However, what I truly feel that it's happening here is that he is just someone that, in order to validate himself, he needs to bring others down. And it surprises me that she has been with this guy for 2 years and that she still somehow has her self-esteem intact. Because when you're having your loved one constantly pointing out everything that's wrong with you, or they are being able to find something wrong with everything you do, that can slowly drain you out of your sanity and completely destroy your self-esteem. So really kudos to this woman because she has been able to keep that and somehow still get the relationship going. And sometimes just toxic people exist. There's people that are like that and that will always find the bad in things. They will always find the flaws. Some people in the comments were saying that he's trauma bonding, that he grew up in a house where he was constantly being criticized, so he's trying to create the same trauma on her so they can bond over that and stuff like that. And yes, that might be an option, but there's also the option where people are just assholes, and that's the only explanation. They are like that. Like, yeah, maybe his mom was like that and he turns out to be just like her. Maybe. But at the end of the day, what this OP needs to do is that she just needs to leave this relationship. I don't think there's absolutely nothing she can do. The moment she brought up this issue to him, He said that he doesn't feel like tipping around her and not being honest about what he thinks. This is not honesty. This is just being rude. This is being an asshole. So many people in the world are like, I'm just being honest. And no, you just lack empathy and you're just bitter and you just want to bring others down to feel good with yourself because, yeah, there's something inside you that's probably bothering you and you don't know how to deal with that. And now, so you want to annoy everyone else so they can feel like you do. And the ironic thing is that the moment she starts acting like that as well, now he's sad. Now he's stressed. Yeah, because he can recognize that the way he's behaving is mean and it's wrong. But he wants to do it, but he doesn't want to be at the end of the stick. And that's how I know that this guy just needs to bring others down for his own validation. And you should never stay with someone who is like that because they will go to lengths to make you feel bad if that means that they can feel better about themselves. And right now, her self-esteem seems to be fine, but eventually that might stop. And so it's always healthier for you to leave before relationships reach that point. My boyfriend doesn't do the little things, and it sounds like he doesn't want to. I am not sure how to explain this clearly. I'm sort of going crazy. Well, let me say first that we kind of live far away from each other. I love physical touch, but since we can do that often, I try everything I can do to feel closer to him. I try to get him to FaceTime me, but he doesn't because he's insecure. That's understandable, that's fine. I wanted him to send me a goodie box with little gifts from him so I could touch what he handled. I asked and he said he would, but weeks later he hasn't. That's fine, it's just a stupid box anyways. I asked him to compliment me when we play video games together. He does only when I am upset and try to prevent an argument, not to do it because he wants to. That's fine, it's a stupid compliment anyways. Today I got upset because of his response to me. I was telling him about something that I have done that was impressive in my own opinion. I told him and his response was, "That's easy, everyone can do that, it isn't hard." The first thing I thought was, damn, okay, I mean, maybe it is easy, I was just happy, that's all. I started to get irritated and asked why he couldn't just say something about me doing a nice job. He said he didn't want to lie to me. Then I got mad. I suddenly brought up all of the things that have been irritating me, everything that I listed before. I told him about how little things matter a lot. I tried so hard to explain how the bare minimum isn't enough. I tried explaining how those stupid boxes and those stupid FaceTimes meant a lot to me because I am not able to touch him or kiss him. Those things help me feel closer to him. I told him this and he said that nothing he ever does is good enough. He went on and on until he asked me what I brought to the table. I was a little confused, but soon I knew what he meant. He told me that he was the one making money, he was the one who was going to do work. And me? Nothing. And it pained me because he was right. I bring nothing to the table. He told me that I compare him to unrealistic standards. I just don't understand. Why is it so difficult? I want to cry. It makes me wonder if he just doesn't want to do anything at all. Every argument we have had this week was because he did something wrong. Maybe I'm tiring him? God, I'm so confused. I feel like these two are not compatible at all. I have been planning to do an episode about different types of love and what happens, right, when you meet someone that doesn't have the same love style as you, because I feel this is what's happening here. These two are not compatible at all. She's obviously the romantic type that it's always showering you with love and affection and gifts all the time, while he isn't. He is more career driven, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with those two things. They are perfectly normal, but they obviously are not meeting in the same space. They are in two different places of the universe right now. And so they are not being able to meet each other's needs. And I'm guessing because that's all I can actually do from just a short post on Reddit, right? I can just guess what's happening. But given my experience and what I have seen through my life is that some people are very romantic, and for other people, being romantic feel icky. Like it's not natural to them, and doing all that stuff like Like doing gift boxes and FaceTiming and just like give her compliments just because, just to make her happy. It doesn't feel right to them or natural. Like they feel it's cheesy and they don't want to do it. And he has obviously been playing dumb about doing those things because, yeah, she's right. He doesn't want to do them. And whenever he does them, she feels like he's forcing it or he's just doing it because she asks, but that's exactly what it's happening and that's uncomfortable. So I don't think this one is that deep. I just think that they are not compatible and that she needs someone who meets her level of intensity, which is not wrong. I know a lot of people think that someone being intense with their feelings and love bombing and all of that stuff it's wrong, but it's not. It's just not your thing. There's someone for everyone, and some people absolutely adore that type of attention 24/7. Some people do. We need to stop calling intense romance wrong because what's wrong is obsession, but not intense feelings, not intense love or intense romance. That's not wrong. What's wrong is obsession, and we tend to mix them. They are just not compatible, and that's okay. And this situation seems to be really hurting her, and he seems exhausted because of everything. So I just think that, yeah, it would just be better to call it quits. I, 23 female, am generally unhappy in my relationship with 29 male. We have been together for 4.5 years. We just finished building our house a few weeks ago and got a puppy together in February. But I can't help but feel unhappy with him. He's genuinely lovely guy with a lot of love to give, but I'm feeling unsatisfied lately. We go out to eat food together a lot, but that's it. There's no sense of adventure in our relationship. I want to try new date ideas while also having him show enthusiasm towards wanting to do things together. But I feel like he enjoys playing Final Fantasy XIV more than being with me. I have talked to him lots about wanting him to take me on dates more. I don't want to be the one who always thinks of new things to do together. But he puts more effort into coordinating activities in Final Fantasy XIV with his friends or random people. I feel like an afterthought. He refused to come to our puppy school graduation in March because he had a commitment in Final Fantasy XIV that clashed with it. However, my best friend, 23 male, was super excited to come and wanted to celebrate. When I discussed being unhappy with our lack of days, he got frustrated and explained we spent plenty of time together recently shopping for the house. I just want something that's more romantic than shopping and eating at the same couple restaurants. My best friend shows way more interest in spending time with me and doing new things together than my actual partner, and it just makes me so sad. Our bedroom life is practically dead too. I have been struggling to remain sexually attracted to him when he puts minimal effort into his physical appearance besides basic hygiene. He has the dress sense of a 50-year-old dad. Our bedroom life is so repetitive that it's become boring and mundane. I haven't cared to dress up for him or bring spontaneous things into the bedroom because he gives such lackluster reactions and genuinely doesn't care to explore new things. He says he's just generally not an excitable person, but it really leaves me feeling unsexy and frankly quite bored. His lack of ambition towards anything in his life besides video games is also frustrating. He has mentioned wanting to be a police officer in the past, but exclaimed that it was too much work to lose weight for it. In the past year, he has mentioned wanting to be an electrician. I have tried to be supportive to encourage him to get his white card and apply to some places, but he continuously drags his feet. I think he's very comfortable in his current lifestyle. We have also had previous issues in the past with him having a porn addiction. We're talking a couple of terabytes of porn. It caused a lot of issues in our relationship as I felt the amount of porn he was regularly downloading was not only unhealthy, but also made me feel incredibly insecure. I don't understand why someone would want to hoard so much porn, but this is more a me issue than him. He agreed to delete the porn. However, we had issues later on where I found out that he lied and kept it all. He has deleted since, but there's been a couple of times where I have had to use his computer to download something and have accidentally found new secret folders. I recently found a secret folder a month ago. I don't have issues with general porn consumption, but hoarding large numbers of porn files make me super uncomfortable and it is a boundary we laid early in the relationship. Sorry for the vent. Maybe I'm just a selfish asshole who expects too much. Someone give me a reality check, please. This case is very complicated, but because they have so much stuff together already and they have been together for so long, and I cannot imagine reaching almost 5 years in a relationship for you just to realize it's going downhill. I mean, it always happens. There's people that have been together for 10 years and things end. Yeah, but I just cannot imagine how frustrating it must be. And I feel what's happening here is something that I have seen before. And it is that in these modern times, some people just get obsessed with their virtual life and they start to prioritize that. Like, they have the whole thing with the puppy, and he just rather stay in his house playing Final Fantasy with his friends instead of going out with her to this event with their puppy together. I don't know what it is called, but I think that he has developed an obsession with the virtual world. He is getting the excitement and the happiness and all of that from Final Fantasy 14, and he's getting the pleasure and the sexuality from the porn in his computer. Like, he is getting what he needs and wants from the internet and video games instead of looking for that in the real world with his girlfriend. And that is sadly something that nowadays happens a lot. I know many stories of friends breaking up with their partners because they have developed the same thing. Like, this virtual world becomes their priority and they just rather live there than live in the outside world. And this can come for many reasons. They can be avoiding something, or maybe there's an untreated issue with them and they are trying to fill it with this virtual world. Like, this poor OP just wants to have a present partner because at this point, her boyfriend is not present in her life anymore. Like, he is not doing anything to be there for her and meet her needs. He is only thinking about his video games and his porn, and he's fine with that. He doesn't see a problem with that. Like, for him, he is not neglecting her because they live together, so he's always there. How can you neglect someone who you live with? That's the mentality of many people when they start living with their partners. Like, they are seeing each other all the time and they're sharing all of these spaces, so they think that they do not need to make the effort anymore, so they don't need to do all of those things of choosing days and doing stuff to see each other and be together. They don't need to do that anymore because you live together. I really don't feel like she's asking for anything big. She is just asking him to be present in the relationship, to not just be a ghost of her partner, but to actually be a partner to her. So she's not asking for too much. And I don't want to sound extreme, but I do think that she needs to tell him that he needs to go to a therapist and talk about it and talk about why he's so obsessed with that video game and with porn and why he is neglecting her. There's a problem within him, but I don't think that she will be the one who can help him with that. I think that he needs to talk to a professional and really go to the root of the problem. Sometimes people just do not feel fulfilled inside their lives, just like this guy. This guy wanted to be a policeman and he is not. But in Final Fantasy XIV, he's probably a big hero, and every day he's just completing all of these missions and he's doing so much progress. So, the progress he's not making in his real life, he's making it in the video game. He feels successful inside the video game, so he has become obsessed with it. And that's what I mean, that nowadays in this world that seems to be so harsh, a lot of people have found shelter in those places. So it's very normal that they develop this obsession with the online world because they can be whatever they want to be in a video game and they can do all of the things they cannot do in the real life. So yeah, she needs to take him to a therapist and just talk to him and show him how much damage she has been doing to her and their relationship. And at the end of the day, if he doesn't care about changing, if he doesn't care about really listening to her and taking her word in, she should just leave. You should never stay in a relationship where the other person has no interest to make things work for the sake of both of you. If he only cares about his pleasure and comfort, then yes, leave. And I feel bad for her because she's really going through something very hard, and it's very awful to see your relationship going downhill like that. So if she wants to leave, she should. But if she wants to stay and try to give it one last chance, I think she needs to go to the root of the problem. But that would be with a therapist. And with that, we reach the end of this week's episode. I hope that you enjoyed your time with me because I surely did enjoy my time here. This was your host, forever yours, Mrs. Cupid.